Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Okay, well, Andor has kicked off, so we'll talk a little bit about Andor today. We got an article from the Hollywood Reporter where the Andor creator, Tony Gilroy, talked where he urged his team to put aside their Star Wars reverence. As it turns out, Tony Gilroy encouraged people working on the show to forget they were working on Star Wars. He told his collaborators, "You're here because we want you to be real." When Tony Gilroy joined Star Wars to kind of reconfigure Rogue One, he was unafraid to make tough choices.
Reconfigure. Sorry. It's one way to put it, I guess.
It is one way.
Yes.
His superpower, as he called it, was that he wasn't a lifelong Star Wars fan, allowing him to make some big swings, such as sacrificing main characters. When Andor entered into production, Gilroy noticed that his collaborators were altering their behavior and performance because of their nostalgia for Star Wars, so he had to encourage them to set that fondness aside as best they could. He said, "In every department, we've had all kinds of people come in and they know it's Star Wars, so they change their behavior, they change their attitude, they change their thing." And you go, wait, no, do your thing, you're here because we want you to be real. So it's kind of a testament to the potent power of Star Wars. It gets into people's heads to change the lane and do it this way. It takes a little effort.
I wonder what he, what an example would be where, I know the funny stories from, filming the prequels or where, Hayden and Ewan were making, lightsaber sounds. I don't think that's what he's talking about, but, I wonder, how they were acting differently. Did they think they had to act a certain way in Star Wars? Is that what he means? Or were they just not giving the type of performances, they weren't... I don't know. I'm very curious to, a specific example would be. I think I get what he's saying. I know I get what he's saying, but I'm kind of curious exactly what he means, if that makes sense.
It could be, just a tone shift in how they were speaking, trying to sound a specific way because it's Star Wars, and not be like, well, I'm playing this gritty lowlife, so instead of sounding entirely like a gritty lowlife, they're
Star Wars
trying to put on more of an air, maybe?
I don't know. I'm really
Something
curious.
That makes the performances feel maybe less genuine.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know you can say it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, but if you removed Star Wars, the name from Andor right now, you could say this feels like, something different, right?
Right.
I don't think that's a bad, like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think people would act normal in the Star Wars galaxy too.
Well, think about it too in the terms of even talking about when we were talking about the other day, the extras, how in Kenobi and stuff, you felt like they were just kind of there and standing around and more or less almost wishing, you could tell they wanted to be watching what was going on instead of doing their thing. Or in Andor, when the people are in the background walking around, they're focused on, this is my job in the background. I do this. This is the profession I perform in Star Wars. Performing more of a down-to-earth role, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a curious statement. I don't know.
He goes on to say that, Star Wars just wasn't ever on his radar. He wasn't in awe of it when he came on to prepare Rogue One. He just knew he was going to come in and do his thing. He brought his thing there, and it worked. He didn't change for Star Wars. Star Wars became what he wanted it to be, to do what he does best. He says, "It's really fascinating. We have this experience all the time in every department. We've had all kinds of people come in. They know it's Star Wars, so they change their behavior, they change their attitude, they change their thing. An actor will come in off a Ken Loach movie or something. They'll put on a Star Wars costume, and all of a sudden, this great actor who auditioned for you and didn't know what it was starts acting differently. And you go, wait, no, do your thing. You're here because we want you to be real." So it's a testament to the potent power of Star Wars. It gets into people's heads. But to change the lane and do it this way, it takes a little effort. It's interesting.
I think it's interesting because, Gilroy is talking about how he has, basically no reverence for Star Wars, which is something I've always said, I'll admit, I've talked a lot about it. I think you need people who do have a reverence for Star Wars. And what I hope he's kind of saying is, it's not that he doesn't have any reverence for Star Wars. He's just not going in there to be completely influenced by it. Because even in Rogue One, and granted Rogue One is not entirely his movie, as we said at the start, he kind of came in and reconfigured it. But I mean, you could tell it still wanted to be Star Wars. It just didn't want to just be Star Wars.
Right.
I mean, that's the feeling I get
more
from Rogue One. And I get that kind of same feeling from Andor right now.
Well, what's funny is if it was wholly Star Wars, do you think all of those people would have died? Or would they have been protected being, big, important Star Wars characters?
Yeah. I mean, I think like the problem with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett is they try very hard to be Star Wars. They take it, it's too much Star Wars in this weird sort of way. And it's not that there's too much reverence for it. It's just that it's like, well, we know this is what Star Wars always is, so we're going to kind of use these same tropes and formulas, and we're going to make it feel like, I mean, that's the problem with The Force Awakens. See, we've talked about this a lot, so I don't want to go too into it, but I mean, that's my issue with those. It's like, well, you tried really hard to give that Star Wars feeling instead of trying to maybe throw a curveball. And not such a curveball like we've seen out of some other Star Wars movies, but...
And he says it goes, like, all the way down the line, so I wonder if, like, the people in the props department and stuff are just making something, and they're like, yeah, this is Star Wars, I'm making it look like Star Wars, and Tony Gilroy walks by and goes, this needs to be practical? These are real people doing real jobs. And because that's the feel you get when you're looking at the sets, the creations, all of the tools and things that look like they really work and they do the jobs they're meant to do, less so than looking like Star Wars.
Yeah, which I think is a hard thing, because you wanted the best of both worlds. You want it to look like Star Wars, yet you also want it to look practical. I mean, when we go back to, like, A New Hope, like, there's a lot of, by today's standards, we obviously have our modern world and what we would think of, like, would be a science fiction looking, ship or control room. Like, you look at all, like, the knobs and the switches, and you're like, well, if anybody today designed, like, sci-fi or what they thought, like, a galaxy far, far away that was advanced would look like, it wouldn't be all, like, knobs and,
No.
like, basic looking screens and dials and all these things. It would be, streamlined. And so...
Like how in Star Trek, all the costumes, he had a thing against, zippers?
Yeah, zippers, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have zippers in the future. But anyway, so I think it's hard to do Star Wars today in that respect, to make it look like that 77 Star Wars and yet not look exactly like 77 Star Wars.
You don't want to put things in there just to go, look, it looks like Star Wars. Yeah. You still need things to be functional and to work.
Yeah, and I think
within the world that you've created.
Yeah, and you've got to understand, like, maybe they would just, their technology would evolve differently, and they would keep the dials and the switches and all these things instead of something maybe a little more practical and simplistic. But it's a tricky thing, I think, and I think Rogue One is looking really good so far, because it does look like a practical Star Wars world. It gets the best. Did I say Rogue One?
Yeah.
Rogue One did it too. So
funny how it was the same person involved. No.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next piece today. James Earl Jones is winding down on voicing Darth Vader. Never thought the day would come.
Well, I mean...
I know.
You don't want to think about the day would come when...
Right.
I mean, James Earl, he's got to be, what, over 90 at this point?
He has signed over the rights to the character's voice. I mean, to Star Wars fans, James Earl Jones is Darth Vader.
Yeah.
His voice in that role is unforgettable. But at 91 years old, that era has come to an end. Vanity Fair revealed James Earl Jones signed over the rights to his voice to Lucasfilm. He used to, just record the lines for him, probably. He probably had some sort of little home setup he would do, or come into a sound booth now and again. But now an AI can replicate his distinctive baritone. Darth Vader really will be more machine than man from now on.
Yeah, it's fitting in a weird sort of way.
I mean, I'm really sad to see him leaving the work behind, but on the other hand, I am happy he got to do it for so long.
I mean, he's probably the most iconic villain in history.
He must have loved doing it to keep doing it into his 90s.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you love being Darth Vader? Like I said, he is the most that is the most iconic voice and look and everything in history. There's no question. There's no debate, no argument. And yes, other people are involved in Darth Vader. David Prowse. I don't want to take anything away from anybody else who. No,
he had the distinct
but
movements
that voice.
Were...
Yeah. I love his voice too. If you ever heard his voice compared to James Earl Jones, it's night and day. But no, I mean, so to take nothing away from him, but James Earl Jones is Darth Vader, right? For all intents and purposes.
When you have no face, you have an iconic helmet.
Voice,
the voice really makes that character who he is. The way he says things, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I will say his voice in Kenobi sounded pretty dang good. It did. I was like, what is going on here? I figured, well, I didn't figure. I knew there had to be some kind of, digital alteration, but it almost sounded too Vader in a way. And I don't know, it sounded like they were going more for Empire Strikes Back Vader, because if you listen to, if you watch the 3 original trilogy movies, he does sound a little different in all of them. Mm-hmm. So.
I'm not sure exactly how I feel about his voice being replicated from now on. How much will I be able to tell? I'm both hopeful and afraid of the prospect.
Yeah, because you could tell. You could tell, like I said, in Kenobi, that's not James Earl Jones' voice. And you could tell there was just something uncanny about it. Kind of the uncanny valley of voice, I guess you could say, where you could tell there's something up with it. And that's probably, and might have a lot to do with the fact that James Earl Jones is older. So if that was literally him, he's not going to sound like, he did 40 years ago.
Well, sometimes technology advances so fast, it's frightening.
Yeah, I agree
the fact
entirely.
That they can replicate, have a machine replicating your voice.
And the way you look.
Saying whatever you want.
It's a scary future when you can completely, nearly perfectly replicate voices and faces, and you're going to... I hope we're not heading for a future where
Disney
you never
can't
even
replicate faces.
Well, no, Disney kind of sucks at it. But
we've seen YouTubers do better.
Yeah,
but
YouTubers do better in an
and
afternoon
then Disney hires
Disney
them
does.
and doesn't use them.
Yes, but putting that aside, assuming it's not Disney doing it, but not to get too serious of a topic here, we try to keep it fun. But it is kind of scary that who knows how many years from now you don't know you could be able to trust videos ever again, like the way they can digitally replicate voices, faces, everything. You will not be able to trust unless you literally see it right in front of you with your own 2 eyes anymore.
And even then.
Yeah, who knows? Could be even holograms.
Well, let's leave that behind before you go
darker to like a dark dystopia. Yeah, I'm going dark dystopian future where we can't trust anything anymore. Not that we can trust anything now.
If the machines are listening, I do trust in you, my machine overlords.
Yes, overlord machines, we bow to you, and we were with you from the start. Don't kill us.
All right, on to my favorite segment of the week. New this week in Star Wars, etc. So on Tuesday, Thor: Love and Thunder comes out on Steelbook. For anyone who's
wasn't done with the theme,
excited about watching Thor in their home.
Oh yes,
with a physical copy.
Yes,
a physical copy that can never be changed or
taken and changed, altered, and yes,
it will always be the copy that
you can trust your eyes on this one. I think.
Wednesday, Andor episode 5 comes out, continuing down the party train.
Episode 4, but unless I missed a week.
No, that's 5.
I know. I didn't miss a week. I'm just episode 4.
I believe we're going to see
Mon Mothma.
Oh,
Gilroy said the story will begin to expand this week.
Right, and it's going to be they're done in 3 episode arcs, so this will just be a tease of the second arc here of our season 1.
Yes, it'll be the beginner, the opening act.
For comics, we have Afra 24, Han Solo and Chewbacca. The fan service continues.
Is that the name of the book?
Well, on the cover, I think you've got your favorite dudes who showed up in Rogue One from the bar.
Oh, no, don't tell me.
And then I think in the synopsis it says something about Chewbacca going to be in some sort of locked up in jail or whatnot with Maz Kanata, who happens to be there.
Oh my god, locked up in jail? That sounds like that could go all kinds of wrong, considering what she said in The Force Awakens about Chewie.
I don't want to think about it, so let's not.
Oh my goodness.
Also on Wednesday, we will be having our weekly voice chat over on the Discord for patrons to talk about the latest episode.
Of Andor.
Wednesday night.
9 o'clock Eastern.
8 p.m. Central. We're Central. We talk in Central Time. I don't know why you keep wanting to talk like you're a fancy New York person or something.
Them fancy New Yorkers. New Yorkers?
8 o'clock Central.
I don't think I replicated their accent very well there. I'm sorry.
Anyone, any patron who comes onto Discord, you are more than welcome to join. It's kind of an open forum where everyone talks, including Thor.
Sometimes.
Thursday, Rings of Power, Episode 6. Yeehaw. And She-Hulk, Episode 7. I mean, we're getting Daredevil, right?
You said there'd be Daredevil, right? Right?
Right?
It's the meme.
Friday, Hasbro PulseCon starts. Woohoo! With the launch of the Selfie series. If you're interested in checking that out, you can download the Hasbro app to maybe just play around with it. I probably will. I'll probably download it and see how it captures my face. Just because I'm curious. Will they show me a mock-up right then of what I would look like as an action figure before I purchase the $60 figure? Who knows, but I'm
What do you mean before you purchase it?
Nothing.
Are we getting a Sailor Naboo and Stormtrooper outfit?
Maybe I'm just going to take the head so that I can make an actual Sailor Naboo figure. I just need the head.
Sounds really sadistic, but I just need a head. I can discard the body.
As for the schedule of the con, 12:15 Central is Transformers, 2:45 Central is the Marvel Legends panel. Saturday, Hasbro PulseCon Day 2, 12:15 G.I. Joe, 2:30 Indiana Jones gets 15 minutes to talk about.
Here's one action figure.
One figure. Or they're going to talk about how they're going to have action figures.
Yes, we're making them.
15 minutes. Who can say? Maybe they're launching like a retro line and like, look, it's the older Indiana Jones from the original movies. Woohoo.
In the 6-inch line. I don't think they've done 6-inch Indiana Jones. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're probably wrong. I'll correct you now.
Ooh. I don't know. I know my toys.
2:45 is Star Wars. So we'll get to see the new offering from Hasbro on the Star Wars line.
Probably
Hopefully we'll
Andor
get some
figures.
Andor reveals as well as others. I mean, we do have some more anniversary stuff coming up.
It is 45th anniversary of Return. No, 45th. Jesus. It's 45th anniversary of Star Wars, but the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi next year.
Mm-hmm. And then Sunday, House of the Dragon, Episode 7.
Which we keep saying we're going to review, and then we never do. Sunday night is just a weird time because we have such a busy day Monday with the memes and everything.
Yes.
And we forget midweek.
Yes.
But it's been good.
Well, who wants to watch it midweek? Everyone wants to watch it when it comes out. They don't want to watch it like, hey, everyone, stay tuned next week, Sunday, the day before the new episode. Saturday, the day before the new episode, we'll put out a thing.
I don't think it matters too much. All right, well, that is all we have for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.